All right, my friends, today's Revit tip is about depressed slabs. And some slabs are just depressed. They get depressed. And I think, you could take your slab out, buy them lunch or something so they're not so depressed, or give them a compliment or something. I think the reason that slabs get depressed every now and then is because they just get walked on. Everybody just walks all over them. Bad joke, I know. Okay, so there are many, many depressed slabs. You could have a depressed slab at like a mechanical room. Might need to go down an inch to catch the water, or to receive, maybe a depressed slab to receive some tile or something. Or maybe you have to depress the edge of your slab where there is an exit or a doorway, okay? Maybe a garage door or something needs a depressed area. And so I'm going to show you guys how to, there's lots of different ways to do it, and I'm going to try to show you the different ways that I've used, and you can pick any or all of them and use them in your project. All right, so here we go to Revit, and I'm going to show you how to make depressed slab areas. All right, so here we go. Share my screen with you guys. All right, so here we are in Revit. Okay, so what we want to do is, let's go to our floor plan. Okay, so here we are, you know, our little building over here, but to keep things simple, I'm going to depress the slab. I'm going to put a slab in, I'm going to put a floor. I'm just going to put a 6-inch concrete slab, right? Use rectangle, and we're just going to put it out here in front of the building, okay? And done. So we have a slab. I'm going to go to 3D. Let's go to 3D and look at this little slab that we've got out here. Let's get my face out of the way. Okay, let's go ahead and hide the site so we can work. So this is our little slab. And if you've got a depressed slab area, kind of you need to decide how deep it needs to be depressed down, and there's different ways to deal with it. And I'm going to show you right now. The first one I would come to is this. Let's go to the plan area of this. This is our little slab, and let's say we need a depressed area right out in the middle. This is one way, one of the ways, okay? I'm going to hit edit the boundary, and I'm going to put a little rectangle on the slab. So if you ever put a shape out on top of your slab in edit mode like this and hit finish, it cuts a hole right in your slab. I think you already know that, right? So there's a little hole cut in our slab, bam, okay? Now, that is an opening in the slab, a hole all the way through. But we just wanted a depressed slab. One of the ways is to put another slab in that space. And let's go back to the plan. I'm going to pick this and hit CS on the keyboard for create similar. And I'm just going to put another slab right in that spot. That's how fast it is to get another slab in that spot. And let me just show you, I'm going to cut a section through this, right through our slab. And we're going to go to that, and we're going to look at it, okay? All right, so here we are. Well, let's not make our cut view the building. So we're only going to be looking at this. So here we are. Let's go back to our section. This is that little piece. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and hide the site so that you don't see all the dirt underneath it. So this is the area that we want to have our depressed slab. So I can pick that piece of slab and just tell the height offset to go down like -2 inches, okay? And so this thing offsets down directly straight down, and it's a depressed slab. If you go to 3D, you've got a depressed slab. Bam, just that simple. But sometimes it's not that simple. Maybe you want, and we look at the plan view, not the plan view, and then go to the section. Let's use the join command, okay? Join, I'm going to go to modify and join the geometry, and you can pick pick either one you want in any order. It doesn't matter. You just have to pick the two objects and they join together. If they're made of the same material, they will join like this. Now, this is not realistic. This is a depressed slab, but it's the same thickness of slab that is being depressed. And so you get this edge right down here. And oftentimes you need material right here and not a direct inline. So what I've done in the past is you can click on this little slab here, this guy that's depressed down, okay? And we're gonna edit it, okay? We're gonna edit its boundary and we'll just edit it from the plan view, okay? And what I wanna do is make it a little bit larger. Let's just offset it so that it overlaps the other slab by 8 inches. So I'm gonna use offset and I'm not gonna make a copy. I'm gonna offset it 8 inches, okay? I'm gonna go to the left and up, whoop, down, whoops, up, and to the right and down. Okay, so I've extended this lower slab out a little bit. When I finish, and then we go to our section, it has extended now past where the depression is. And depending on your structural engineer, they'll tell you how far they need this overlap. But this is really good and all, but sometimes we don't want it to go vertical right at that edge. We kind of want it to slope in, okay? I'm gonna show you how to do that. I would use a slab edge at that location to make it slope, okay? So we're gonna go make that family really fast. I'm gonna say File, New, and I want a new family. So I'm gonna click on that. And what we're gonna make is a profile here. So I'm gonna go into French, no, German. No, let's stick with English Imperial, just for now. Okay, we're gonna come down here to a profile hosted. A profile hosted is what you use, it's the template you use to make those little slab edges, okay? So I'm gonna say open, okay? So when this opens up, we are at the side view and the insertion point is right there, okay? So let me just draw a line and show you what we're dealing with. Create a line. Let's just say our slab is going across and up and over, right? So this is kind of like we need a slope right here. This little area is what we need to be sloping in, okay? So I just wanted to show you, we're gonna put the slab edge with the insertion point at that bottom corner and build an object that is our slab edge that will create that slope, okay? So let's just do it. Let's make this thing up here about, well, it's 4 inches. That seems reasonable to me. And I want a line up here at 45 degrees. So, hey, I nailed it, okay? There's 45 degrees at that angle. And I'm gonna go TR on the keyboard for trim and finish that. So this is the insertion point's at the bottom and I'm sloping up at 45 degrees and I've got myself a little shape, okay? That's the profile we're gonna use for making our little slab edge, okay? So what I need to do is save it. So I'm gonna hit save and I'm gonna call this thing, I'm gonna delete that. I got rid of the old one so that I can start from scratch. So what are we gonna call that little thing? This is the little sloped slab edge for depressed slabs. Duh, what? You know, just name it what it is. It's a little sloped edge, maybe not even slab edge. It's a little sloped edge for the depressed slabs. And it's going to be a profile. And I always put the word profile, P-R-O file, profile at the beginning, okay? That way, see, this is not really the actual slab edge. This is a profile. It's going to be used for a slab edge. So once I do that, I'm going to hit save, okay? So I've got this little profile and I'm going to load it into the project and close it, okay? So now what I want to do is create a slab edge that uses that profile. So I'm going to go back to my section. It's going to fit right in here, okay? So let me just show you what I'm talking about. what I want to do is go to architecture, and in the drop down under floors, we can go down to a slab edge. And the slab edges that I have in here, let me just expand this a little bit so you can see. I have a squared turn down slab, and I have a tapered thickened slab edge. Well, I want a new one, okay? So it doesn't matter which one I pick. I can hit edit type and get my face out of the way. I can hit duplicate. And this little one, the new one, is going to be called little sloped slab edge, something like that, okay? I'm gonna say, okay. And the profile I'm gonna use for this little sloped slab edge is, drop down, I'm going to pick the profile that I just loaded. So the profile is gonna be the little sloped edge for depressed slabs. So that's the profile. And I want the material to match my 6-inch slab. So on the category for material, I am going to go to concrete. Okay, concrete, and there it is, cast in place 6-inch slab. So it's the same material that I've got this 6-inch slab made out of. Okay, I'm gonna say, okay. So now I can put a little slab edge right here. So I could actually zoom in there and click, and it puts a slab edge in. You'll notice that doesn't look all that great. There's two reasons it doesn't look all that great, because it's automatically joining geometry to the slab edge that I clicked on, but not to the other slab. So I can move my face. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hit join. I'm gonna go back to modify and hit join. And I want that little slab edge to also join with the bigger slab, okay? Now, that's one of the problems. The other problem is my slab edges are not using the same line weight as my slabs. And that, my friend, is under, you go to manage your object styles. And if you scroll down to floors and expand it, well, floors first, let me just show you. Floors, when you cut through a floor, the line weight's a 4. So if I expand that, I go down to slab edges, and it's using a 1. So I need to make my slab edges match what the floors are doing for the cut. And when I say okay, it looks like this. So we have a canted edge there, okay? I'm just showing you how this works. So now, if I want a canted edge on the other side, there's another way to put these on. Let me just show you. If we go to 3D, okay? And I tip this thing up and we look underneath it. Let's just look underneath, okay? We've got a little slab edge over there, but we don't have one on this side. And actually, we don't have one. I'm going to pick that. I'm going to rotate. We have a sloped edge over here on the right, but we don't have it on the other 3. I can put that on just as easy. So here we go. Look at this. Architecture, floor, a slab edge. I would like one on the other side, okay? And one on that back corner and one on this front corner. So now, if you look, it is sloping back up. It's hard to see sometimes. It's sloping back up on all 4 sides. And in our section, it is sloping up, and we have to do that join geometry thing again. Join, okay? I want the slab and the little slab edge to join. So there we go. We've got a canted edge now and a depressed slab. So we've got a depressed slab, and it extends 8 inches, and we've got the edges on it. So if I were to change the overlap like to a foot, it will track with it perfectly. And so that right there is one way to make a depressed slab, and it's showing properly because it's all true 3D, okay? Now, there's another way that's if we had to thicken the slab at the depression. Now, what if you don't need to thicken it at the slab depression? Well, let's try that. So I'm gonna go back to the plan. Right here, I'm gonna cut another hole in the slab. So I'm gonna pick it, I'm gonna hit edit boundary and use a rectangle, move my face, use a rectangle. I'm just gonna cut another hole in the slab, okay? And I'm gonna put another slab there. So look at this. I'm gonna click on this slab and say, create similar. So I'm creating a slab, and I'm going to switch this little guy, the new one that I'm putting in, not to 6 inches, so it's the same depth. I'm going to use a 4-inch concrete slab, okay? So when I put the 4-inch concrete slab in there and finish, okay? Let's go to our section. Get my face out of the way. We've got a 4-inch slab in that hole, and I can push it down 2 inches, okay? I'm just going to change the height offset from the level to -2 inches, and it shifts down the 2 inches, flushes out at the bottom, and then join geometry will clean it up. So here we go. I'm going to go to modify, join, and I just pick the 2, and there we go. So we've got a depressed slab area that is coming down 2 inches, and so we got a 6 going to a 4, and so it's a 2-inch offset. So this is another way to make a depressed slab. If you only needed to go 5 inches, if you only needed to go 1 inch down, well, then you need a 5-inch slab at this location. So what I can do is click that guy, and I can say, instead of a 4-inch concrete slab, I'm going to edit the type. Okay, watch this. I'm going to edit the type, hit duplicate. I'm going to say, hey, I would like a 4-inch concrete slab at this location. Okay. It's our, oh, wait, no, I want a 5-inch concrete slab. 5. I said 4. 5-inch concrete slab at this location. Okay. Now I'm going to edit the structure so that the cast in place concrete is 5 inches deep. Simple as that. Okay. And then I hit OK. If I can get my face out of the way again, say OK. OK. So now look, we've got a 5-inch concrete slab in a 6-inch slab, but I need to move it so that it is not going down 2 inches. It's only going down 1. Bam. So now, simple as that, we've got a 1-inch depression because we have a 6-inch slab and a 5-inch slab pushed down 1 inch. That is another way to make a depressed slab. And that is a perfectly good way to make a depressed slab. And yet there's more ways. There's another way to do it. So watch this. Let's do something fun. Let's make a family that we can just set on the slab and it cuts a depression. So we don't have to add another slab and move it and create new types. Okay, so here we go. Let's go back to the plan. Let's say right here, we want a depressed slab that's cutting down 1 inch, but we can make it we can put it wherever we want, and we don't have to create more slabs. So here we go. We're going to make a family. I'm going to say File. I'm going to hover over New and pick New Family. And this is going to be a face-hosted generic family. So here we go. Go back to English Material, Imperial. I'm going to scroll down to a generic face-hosted family. I'm going to say, OK, open it. Now, here's the fun part. When we are here in this family, what it shows you is, I'm going to go to 3D. It gives you a simulated slab that your object's going to be on, okay? And so we're working right here on top of this slab. So I'm going to go back to the top view, which is the ref level. So we're working right here. So I'm just going to put an extrusion on here, and I'm just going to use a rectangle for now. Just put a little extrusion and finish. Now, we need some parameters on this because I want the ability to stretch this thing to any size I want, any width or length or depth. We want it to control the depth and the width and the length of it. Okay, so here we go. Let's make some parameters. So I'm going to click on this little view, this little cube up here for family types. I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to say we need some more parameters. So down at the bottom is the little create a new parameter button. So I'm going to create a parameter. And I'm going to call this one length. Okay. L-E-N-G-T-H, length. And I'm going to make it an instance parameter so we can control it. And these can be different sizes. So there's our length instance parameter. Okay. And let's set the length at something like 3 feet. Okay. Now I'm going to make a new one. And this one, I'm going to call it width. Width instance parameter. Okay. And I'm going to set it like at 1 foot. And then we want a parameter for depth. Okay. So I'm going to create another one. And this is depth, D-E-P-T-H, depth instance parameter. Okay. And so the depth, we're going to set it at 1 inch. All right. So we've created, whoops, this, oops, I messed it up. I accidentally changed the wrong one. Depth is going to be 1 inch, or actually minus 1 inch, because it's going to go down. The width is going to be 1 foot. There we go. It moved because I had, it goes into alphanumeric order. So D is first, LW. So the depth is minus 1 inch, length is going to be 3 feet, and width 1 foot. We just created parameters. I'm going to say, okay, but we haven't attached those parameters to the geometry at all. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit create a reference plane. I'm just going to toss in a reference plane above this box, and I'm going to place one to the side of it. I'm going to drag this little box over until it connects, it finds it, and I'm going to lock it. So it locked, the edge of this box is locked now to that reference plane. I'm going to pick it, I'm going to drag this one until it, and lock it to that reference plane, okay? And now I'm going to put the parameters, I'm going to attach the parameters to these reference planes. Because now if I move this reference plane around, the box is changing shape. You guys see that? Whether I move the vertical one or the horizontal one, the box changes shape. So it's connected to the reference planes. But now I'm going to connect my parameters to those reference planes. So I'm going to put in a dimension to that one, okay? And I'm going to say this one, I highlight it, and on the drop down, I'm going to use the parameters I created. This one's going to be the length. Boom, went to 3 feet instantly, okay? So now I'm going to go dimension, DI on the keyboard, dimension. I am going to add a parameter to that one. It's already 1 foot. That's funny. So look at this. I can, I'm going to drag it out of the way so it's not 1 foot to show you when I attach the parameter, it moves it to what we set. So I put a dimension on there. I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to, on this drop down for label, I'm going to attach the width to it, and bam, it goes to 1 foot. So I've just attached width and length to this box so that we can control it back in the project. But we haven't attached the depth to it, and it's also not a cutting object. And you're like, what? I thought that's what we were doing. If I go to 3D and look at it, it's a positive object stuck just sitting here. And we don't want a positive object. We want a cutting object that will cut our slab, and it'll cut out the slab 1 inch down, okay? Well, we need to pick this object, and in the properties, look over at the properties under identity data, it's labeled as a solid. Well, I am going to draw on the drop down, change it to a void. And when you change it to a void, it turns orange like this, and it's not cutting anything, okay? So I could grab this and drag it taller, and it's still not cutting anything. But if I drag it down all the way through this object, it's still not cutting it. What you have to do is do the cut command. And the cut command is right over here near join. It's under geometry in this box called geometry. It's a little group. I'm going to hit cut. And now I just have to pick the two objects in any order. I'm going to pick the slab and the cutter, okay? And it is doing its job now, okay? It is cutting a hole all the way through that. Now, here's one of the tricks. I just love this trick. I'm going to pick that object now, and I'm going to attach the depth parameter that we created to it. But I'm not going to put a dimension string on it. I'm just going to go over to the properties. And if I look at the properties, this extrusion, it starts on the surface of my slab, and it's going -3'7" something. But if I take my cursor and I go all the way to the right and I click that little box at the end, that's what you use, that little box is what you use to attach this parameter to, or this dimension to a parameter. So here we go, look. The constraint of extrusion end, I'm going to click the little box, and it says, what parameter would you like to associate it with? And I'm going to click on depth, which we preset to be 1 inch. I'm going to say, okay. So now take a look. If you look, it is not cutting all the way through. It's only cutting down to 1 inch. And I can adjust that to any depth I want now. If I go to my parameters, I can say, hey, I wanted you to be 2 inches and hit OK. Now look, it's cutting 2 inches deep. So I can control this thing. So it's ready for us to hit save. So I'm going to hit that save button, and we got to give it a name. Let's call it depressed, slab depression. That's it. Slab depression. There, slab depression. Okay, I'm going to say save. So now I've saved this as slab depression. I'm going to load it into my project and close it. Okay, so now it's in my project. And I'm going to go back to my plan view. It says, you can't place this, but it switched views on me, whatever. So now if I scroll down, look at this, and I look at my families, under generic models, I can expand that, and right here is slab depression. You guys see that? And what I'm going to do is grab this. I expanded it. I'm going to grab this bottom one. I'm going to drag it over, and I'm going to drop it. Now look at this. It wants to be placed on a vertical face. No, I'm going to place it on a face. Okay. So I'm going to click place on a face, and I'm going to place it right here on my slab. Okay. So now I have, because I made those instance parameters, I can stretch this thing to any shape I want. I mean, not any shape, but any rectangular shape. I can stretch this around. And if we go to the section, it is right here. Look at that. See that? And if I pick on it, I can change the shape right here to whatever the length I want. But I need to go over to its properties to change the depth. So if I say the depth needs to be only 1 inch, it's 1 inch. And if I say you're cutting at 3 inches, now it's 3 inches. So I can control this thing to any depth I want. Okay. So let's go back to 3D and take a look and show you what these look like. This guy right here, this family that we added, we can move wherever we want. I can pick this little family and I can move it over to the edge. And look at this, it's hanging off the edge, but it still cuts perfectly fine. You see that? And I can pick it and I can move it off like to the corner, and it's cutting the corner of my slab. You see that? I'm just going to rotate around. And so I can move this little object anywhere I want. And I can also in plan make it any size I want. And again, you can drag it well off of the edge of the slab and it still works. Okay. So that right there, my friends, is very, very valuable in 3D. It's a depressed slab object that you can move around. Now, there's a couple things that we can do with this. Now, let's say your slab is it has a shape to it that where a doorway is at the edge of your slab. So let's just do that. So watch this. I'm going to edit the boundary of my slab. Now, sometimes I'm just trying to think of all the different options for you guys. Sometimes what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this shape of the slab. Okay, I'm going to come out. I'm going to go over, make sure I'm parallel, over and back. Okay, and I'm going to use split that line, and I'm going to use trim to trim it out. So my slab is now at this shape. Okay, so look at that. Now I've got a shape, a slab shape right there. Suppose this little piece it's thinner right there. I can put one of these. I can go get another slab depression, put it on there. Okay, but that's not where I want it. I'm going to go to my plan. I'm going to say, okay, this little slab depression piece, guys got to pick it. There it is. And I can drag it to the edge of my slab there and my edge of my slab there. And I can pull it so it's at the edge of the slab. Make it wider. So when I pull it, I can snap to the edge of the slab. Okay. And pull it wider there. So it can go past, let me just go to the 3D. Look, it is cutting, dropping this slab down. It's not actually, I'm going to go back to my plan. It's not actually aligned to it like it should. I'm going to, this anomaly here, let me just edit family. That anomaly is the shape of this guy right here, this slab. So I'm just going to pull this larger so we don't have any anomalies, visual anomalies. Okay, there we go. Let's load that back into the project. I just make that slab bigger so that we don't have that anomaly. Okay, so let me just go back to Revit, back into Revit. Okay. All right, so now when we pick our little depression piece, we don't have that anomaly anymore. So let's go to, I'm just trying to, there she is. Okay. So I can align it. I'm going to align this guy to the slab edge exactly. And so it is cutting down 2 inches here. Okay. And so we've got a slab that extends. Now, could I have put a separate slab out there? Yes. But I'm just showing you that this thing, this little guy that we made, can be placed on any extension to make it thinner and depressed at that area. Or let me just pick it. It can be up in here. Look at this. I'll drag it right to the edge. Look at that. So now it's cutting back in. It's cutting back in, possibly where a door is, or so that you can have water not come into your building at this location. I'm just showing you the different ways that we can deal with this. So a slab depression, we can either put in a piece of slab and extend it past, go back to my section. So it's looking like this, extend it past and put the little cants on it. Or we can flush it out at the bottom by putting 2 different slabs. We can, wait for it, put it on the edge. I just moved my section so we can look at it. Okay, we can put it on the edge of a slab and cut it right there. Or we can put another, I'm going to put another section in here just to show you that we can, I'm going to go to it. See, we can cut the slab down, the extension. It's just, this is an amazing tool that we can use to, I'm going to go back to 3D. We can make this, these slabs, these depressed slabs, place them wherever we want in any shape we want, and we can place them on the plan. So the only other thing that I might show you guys is how to make one of these sloped. I'm like, what? A sloped depressed slab? Yeah. So let's just say this little area right here, this little tiny slab, needs to slope down like a couple inches. Okay, so let's go there. If I pick that little slab, I can, right up here, I can add a split line or a point. If I put a point on this thing, I can put a point anywhere I want. So I'm going to go to plan and place a point right in the center or wherever you want your drain to be. Okay, place a point. And now when I pick this thing, I can hit modify sub elements. And I can pick that dot right there and say, you know what? This needs to slope down a couple inches. Okay. So it slopes down a couple inches now at the center. Okay. And I'm going to go back to my section and show you what it did. If I'm going to the right section, wait a minute, plan. You got to have the section actually going through the object in order for you to see what you're doing. I'm going to put it right in the center so that it's more obvious for you guys. Oh, well, when you modify the sub objects, you should probably tell it to go negative. Modify sub elements, pick that dot. It's not going to go up 2 inches. Oops, I want it to be -2 inches. There we go. That's more like it. So now look, so this thing slopes down 2 inches. That might be a little bit drastic. And I'm gonna fix this. We're gonna go back to 3D. I'm gonna pick that guy and I'm gonna say modify sub elements. I only want it to go down like 1 inch down, okay? And go, and we'll finish. There we go. Now, you might notice that the slab follows the thickness right on down because I went down 1 inch. The slab is going down 1 inch. If you don't want that, you can fix it. You can keep this flat across the bottom and still slope the slab. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to pick that object, which is my 5-inch concrete slab. If I hit edit type, I want you guys to see this. In the structure, I can hit edit structure, and we need to check this box for variable here. Because it's not checked, this thing stays 5 inches everywhere it goes. But if I check that box for variable and hit OK, look what it does. It flattens out the bottom. It allows the top of the slab to be variable and the bottom to be flat, so that you don't have to, you can stay flushed out here and let this thing do what it needs to do. All right. So that, my friends, is I think all I wanted to show you today. It's pretty amazing. Slab depressions are not that tough, and you can use either sunken slabs, which are easy to create, or you can create an object like I showed you, an actual cutting object that you place on your slab, and it cuts the geometry down, and you can adjust it to any depth that you want to. All right. Well, I think that's all we need today for depressed slabs. If you guys have any questions at all on depressed slabs or creating them, just put them in the comments below. But if you don't have questions, go use some of these depressed slabs in your project wherever you need the slab to be depressed down. All right. Well, I hope that helps somebody out there. And until we meet again, happy Reviting and bye-bye.